A noble house of the north, House Karstark is a cadet branch of their liege lords, the Starks, and they are one of their principal bannermen. Their seat is in Karhold, a strong castle according to Eddard Stark that Bran Stark even considers fleeing to when the sack of Winterfell occurs. It sits far to the northeast of Winterfell in the forest beyond the last river, overlooking the Shivering Sea. The Grey Cliffs are located east of Karhold. Their sigil is a white sunburst on a black background, and their motto is, the Son of Winter. The Karstarks, like many of the North, have First Men blood in them, and it is likely they follow the old gods, as most Northerners do. We even read about Lord Karstark before a weirwood tree praying in the books. It is likely the rest of his family also follows this practice. But they also have the blood of the Starks in them, though no more than half the other houses in the North if you ask some Starks. About 1,000 years before the first book, Carlin Stark would put down a rebel lord, and was granted lands for his actions. He formed House Karstark, and the castle he built was named Karl's Hold, which soon became Karhold, and over the hundreds of years that followed, the Karhold Starks became Karstarks. Though they share the blood of the Starks in their veins, they are observed as not looking like Starks. The Karstark men are described as big, fierce, with hair worn loose past the shoulders, and with thick beards. They are often seen wearing pelts of seals, bears, and wolves. Their hair is typically brown, and they have blue-green eyes. When the Karstarks arrive somewhere, it isn't out of the ordinary to hear the slow pounding of their very large marching drums. Often the Karstarks' bannermen are seen wearing black iron half-helms and black woolen cloaks patterned with the white sunbursts. Most of House Karstark's history is unknown, but we do know during Robert's Rebellion, Lord Rickard Karstark would fight alongside Lord Eddard Stark at the Battle of the Trident. Lord Rickard would also have 3 sons, Harrion, Eddard, and Torrin. Now let's talk about the Karstarks in the books. The Karstarks, led by Lord Rickard Karstark, would come to Winterfell when Robb Stark calls his bannermen. Lord Rickard brings 300 horse and almost 2,000 foot with him, along with his sons. They pay their respects to the Starks, but Bran Stark overhears Eddard and Torrin Karstark talking about how they would sooner die than live like Bran as a cripple, and that Bran must be broken inside and too craven to take his own life. When Karstark's men travel with Robb Stark and end up at Moat Cailin, the Karhold men quarter in the Drunkard's Tower. On the march south, Catelyn warns Robb that he cannot seem indecisive in front of men like Lord Roose Bolton and Rickard Karstark, and these are his bannermen, not his friends. Eventually, Robb splits his host, and Rickard's heir, Harrion, leads the Karstark spears with Roose Bolton's infantry. Rickard and his 2 other sons accompany Robb with their cavalry. Lord Karstark's sons are included in Robb's personal guard, something considered a great honor, and ride into battle with Robb during the Battle of the Whispering Wood. In this battle, Jaime Lannister kills both Lord Karstark's sons, though Jaime does so trying to get to Robb Stark, trying to kill him. Back with Lord Roose Bolton and Lord Karstark's heir, the Battle of the Green Fork takes place. Tyrion Lannister sees the Karstark sunbursts among the enemy banners, and he follows Gregor Clegane's charge against the Karstark spearmen, who wait behind tall oaken shields with the sigil of Karhold. In the end, Harrion is captured at the end of the battle and brought to Harrenhal with the other hostages. Back with Robb Stark, Lord Karstark is angry with the death of his sons and wants vengeance, as Robb had predicted, and he put a strong guard around Jaime to ensure Rickard didn't kill him. However, Lord Karstark realizes Jaime Lannister is needed as a prisoner, for now. But following his 2 younger sons' death, and unaware of his oldest son's fate, he is gaunt and filled with grief. Others observe he is like a man in a nightmare, with his long beard uncombed and unwashed. This grief leads to Lord Karstark not wanting to end Robb's campaign. Elsewise, what did his sons die for if he simply returns to Karhold with just their bones? Lord Rickard is the second man to proclaim Robb Stark as king in the North. Next, after Lady Hornwood's husband is killed at the Battle of the Green Fork, we hear the Karstarks, who have family ties to House Hornwood, would be interested in inheriting the Hornwood lands. Lord Karstark continues to fight alongside Robb and travels to the Westerlands, fighting in the Battle of Oxcross. where he personally drives a lance through the chest of Sir Stafford Lannister. Eventually, since they have no siege engines to storm Casterly Rock, Robb Stark decides to pay the Lannisters back for the devastation they brought to the Riverlands. Rickard begins raiding the coast with Galbard Glover to inflict this payback. Talks of hostage trade begin, with the Hand of the King, Tyrion Lannister, planning to exchange both Willis Manderly and Harrion Karstark for Willem Lannister, but those negotiations never come to fruition. When Roose Bolton takes Harrenhal, Harrion is released, and Roose sends him with Robert Glover and Helman Talhart's forces to take Duskendale. There, Harrion would be captured yet again, and this time held at Maidenpool. The remaining Karstarks would rejoin Roose Bolton. Meanwhile, we also see the Castellan of Karhold, Arnulf Karstark, sent a letter informing Winterfell they cannot help Roderick Castle against the Ironborn because all their men have gone to fight with Robb. In a later book, they would also receive a letter from Maester Aemon to help defend Castle Black from wildlings, but the wall would also go unhelped. Though Theon Greyjoy does see some Karstark banners among the army commanded by Roderick that come to Winterfell to expel the Ironborn. When Lord Karstark returns from the Westerlands, he discovers Catelyn Stark had freed Jaime Lannister in an effort to retrieve her daughters. This greatly angers Rickard, who declares that Catelyn robbed him of his vengeance and what she did was treason. When Catelyn says she will do what she can to make amends, he snaps, "Will your amends warm Torrhen and Eddard in the cold graves where the Kingslayer laid them?" He then storms out of the hall. He is so angry and filled with grief that he then, along with 7 of his men, murder the captive squires, Chian Frey, and Willem Lannister, killing 2 Tully men in the process. At the same time, Lord Karstark's cavalry search the Riverlands for Jaime Lannister. It is believed over 1,000 Karstark men search for Jaime, as Rickard has promised his daughter to the man that brings him Jaime's head. For killing the squires, Robb Stark sentences Rickard to death and performs his execution. The Karstark infantry that was with Roose Bolton continue with him to the Twins for the wedding between Edmure Tully and Rosalind Frey, instead of staying behind to guard the river. Roose explains this as wanting to keep the Karstarks close, with their loyalty being doubtful, but we later learn that the Boltons and Karstarks have already made plans with each other to betray Robb Stark. With Lord Rickard dead and Harrion Karstark being held hostage still, Rickard's uncle, Arnulf Karstark, declares for Stannis Baratheon after Robb Stark's murder. Jon Snow believes he does this because the Karstarks betrayed the Starks and spilt Lannister blood, so they have no choice but to swear allegiance to Stannis. But this is later revealed to be a ruse set up with House Bolton to provoke the Lannisters into killing Harrion and then having Arnulf's son, Cregan, marry Rickard's daughter Alice, then turning on Stannis when his forces reach Winterfell. Arnulf Karstark feeds information to Stannis to make sure he doesn't suspect anything. Though there is a second reason. He's plotting with Roose Bolton and hoping to get Stannis to attack the Dreadfort. Though he tries to bait Stannis, it doesn't work. But Stannis does buy into the man's loyalty, even saying he's inclined to give Winterfell to Arnulf Karstark, a good Northman. Later, Alice Karstark would flee to the Wall to avoid being married to Cregan Karstark, coming to the Lord Commander Jon Snow for aid. She reveals to Jon Arnulf's plan and how he's in bed with Roose Bolton, and he will betray Stannis. She begs him for help, and to stop Alice's marriage to Cregan, Jon arranges for her and Sigorn, the Magnar of Thenn, to marry. This means that if Harrion is executed or dies, Karhold would pass to Alice, and the newly created House Thenn. Jon sends a raven to Stannis to let him know about the Karstark treachery, and when Cregan heads to the Wall to find Alice, Jon Snow heads out to meet him to deny him guest right. Cregan is then thrown in a cell and given the option of joining the Night's Watch or future execution via Stannis Baratheon. Arnulf Karstark ends up joining Stannis with a son, 3 grandsons, 400 spears, 20 of archers, a dozen mounted lances, a maester, a cage of ravens, and enough provisions to sustain his own. Fortunately, Stannis Baratheon receives Jon Snow's letter warning him, and Stannis ends up bringing Arnulf, his son, and his 3 grandchildren to him under the assumption of they're going to break fast together. When they arrive, Stannis' men arrest the Karstarks. Stannis gives them a choice: cooperation and swift deaths, or being burned alive. Thanks for watching. Make sure you hit the like button as it greatly helps the channel. Come back for Game of Thrones: A Song of Ice and Fire videos every Sunday and Wednesday.